Yes.
That is the Temple of
Okay.
Mystra. Built like a pyramid, the temple is cropped with a large dome surrounded by glass towers. A large 5-story tower of pale blue marble dominates the eastern face of the temple. At night, the entire structure shimmers with countless continual flames and massive glowing symbol of Mystra, slowly rotating above the center dome peak. The entire display is both awesome and are just massive. It serves several functions in Saltmarsh. First and foremost, it is a place of worship. Books from the old town library are kept here as well, although only the faithful can pursue the stacks without a fee. The temple also serves as the guild house for the local mage guild, which is located at the blue marble tower that connects to the main temple by a short stone passage. The wizards of the guilds point out membership is open to anyone of faith, but you heard rumors that if you're not a worshiper of Mystra, the guild is somewhat uncomfortable and awkward to be around. So the morning, it was relatively early in the morning. You're making your way through the streets and different things, and there's the market is getting up. Adventurers are coming back and going. It's a bustling morning. It's a little bit of slow. The dung sweepers are out making sure as people kind of. So there seems to be some sewers and not sewers in town. So It's kind of weird because you're on. They don't want to dig too deep because it's very marshy. So it's very hard to be able to get. So yeah, none of the homes or anything like that have basements because of everything like that. But as you're making your way down through the streets in the main area and you cross the main bridge and you're making your way, like I said, there's a lot of bustling sounds and smells and docks, things being unloaded at the docks and the noise of that walking in the city, on an ocean city, just noises and people and just it's not overwhelming, but definitely it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Well, he's from Waterdeep, which is an ocean city.
Oh yeah, it does give you reminding of that morning Waterdeep, but not as noisy as Waterdeep
because it's not as big.
It's not as big,
right
now.
He's very comfortable, which is funny. Like for someone who hates everything, he's actually very comfortable in this setting. Like city is no big deal. You know, walking through the streets in the morning is no big deal. Going to a library is certainly no big deal. He's surprisingly in his element.
So as you're making your way, you finally come to this large structure, and like I said, as you look upon it, there's a big gate and a large wall that kind of surrounds it, and the gates open at this moment, and as you kind of walk in, and as you're walking into the main temple, and you kind of make your way, there's signs of like library here, worship over here, and as you make your way, you're greeted by one of the clerics of Mystra, and you kind of make your way, and you kind of are pointed to the direction of where the main library is. As you walk through these large double doors and kind of stand up, there's a big wooden desk, large. It's a good 5-7 feet long. It's got that 4 foot high, nice wood carved that kind of comes around the big chair that's kind of sitting up, and someone you have a human male sitting at that's fairly good looking with sandy blonde hair, kind of short, and he's kind of standing there and he's like, may I help you?
Yes, hello. Aviro Starborn. Nice to meet you. I was hoping to be able to peruse the stacks. I am looking for a book on dragons, my good man.
And he kind of grabs his glasses a little bit on his nose and kind of and he leans his elbows in. He's like, really? A library? A book on dragons? I think we might have a section on that. Are you a member? As he's kind of looking at your cloak to see if you can see a symbol of Mystra on you.
So he is a worshiper of Mystra,
mage,
but he also is his background is cloistered scholar, which features library access.
Oh, so
So
I'm gonna say he's got a special like pin or something like that he just
he probably has the emblem of the Blackstaff Tower
yeah.
where he's a student. So he's probably got that somewhere.
And yeah, and you just kind of when you go to libraries, you just flip it out and you're like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so as you he's like, oh, well, and you see this like he kind of straightens up a little bit, like, oh, like it's been a little while since someone from your area has been here. It's not uncommon, but it's been a little while. It's like, oh, well, welcome. Welcome, fellow follower. You were looking for a book on dragons.
Yes, please.
Allow me to. Would you care for some assistance, or would you prefer to just be pointed in the direction?
I think if you just point me in the direction, I should be fine. But I greatly appreciate your offer, my good man.
No problem. Let one moment. He kind of looks over. It will be second floor, section 5, T, and then it will be in the and he's kind of looking over, column 21. It's a smaller, but there should be some stuff. If there's anything else you need to be aware of, there are some additional books that are not on the shelf, and if you need to preserve some of those, feel free to come back and let me know if there's anything else I can help you with.
Well, thank you. I'm sure I will see you again.
Definitely. Thank you. And enjoy.
Thank you. Praise Mystra.
Praise Mystra. And he's got this big smile as you kind of walk in. Oh, you are at home here. Now, you have heard of Saltmarsh library, Mystra's, the Temple of Mystra. So you heard that a cleric of Mystra one day bought the library that was just run down and no one used, and then built this magnificent. I mean, this is over the top like dedication to Mystra. There is. I mean, it's got all the fine, fine marble, and it's just someone spent a lot of gold for fine craftsmen. And it's one of those things where in normal cities, this is just like an eyesore. Like the other temples are like, why did you do this?
Sure.
While the people love just the spectacle. And like I said, you've heard because it's spread throughout Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate that a cleric did this, and it's funny, but it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those pilgrimages of like, one day you've got to go check this library out,
this thing out. Yeah. And here I am.
It's not one of those you have like you specifically do, but if you're ever in the area, you have to check it out because it's definitely. So as you're making, and it's still early in the morning, so there really isn't too many people here, but some people are going to be going to service, and there's definitely all types of mages in here, and there's also some alchemists, and there's some more, bookworms, and just people doing research, and you've got everyone from your first level wizard looking at something to your high ranking wizards, or let me rephrase that, your assistants and acolytes of the high ranking wizards, because the high ranking wizards they send their acolytes to do all the dirty work.
They got people for that.
Yeah, they got people for that. So as you're kind of working, you get to your section and things of that nature, and you start perusing the books. I'm not going to make you roll an investigation check because your passive investigation is high enough to basically find what you're looking for. But that doesn't mean it's going to be there. So I am going to do a random roll to see if but what are you looking for? So that's the thing.
So first of all, he is looking to brush up on his basic knowledge on black dragons. Now that we have a black dragon with us, he would like to know as much about them as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking for that specifically. Now, because he's here, he's also going to peruse peruse the stacks for the theoretical arcanics, to see if there's, because he's very interested in how magic works. So anything that he can peruse that is a, because he just, he's thirsty for knowledge. So anything that he's just going to kind of peruse. Once he finds the book, the info on black dragons, he's also going to wander around and see what he can discover about high level theoretical arcanics.
Okay. You find exactly what you're looking for. So the funny thing is, because of Saltmarsh, there are legends. Because of the marshes, there has been some research done on black dragons, because there appears to have been, there are two famous black dragons in this area. And one is potentially still around. One is, there was, this is the some of the good part. There is a history of an adult black dragon that has been around for over 100 years.
Ooh.
And there's actually more information of possible 2 different black dragons. And there is actually a debate that people think that there are 2 black dragons that were when the town first started. And then there may have been a battle or a territorial war between them, and that one of them overcame the other one. But there was notes that about 150 years ago, something along those lines, this happened because a new dragon, it was like either the offspring of the dragon that was there, or something else came into play and eventually grew and took over. So
Cool.
So definitely there was, and people suspect that it was the offspring of the dragon that was there, that the larger adult dragon was there. There was an offspring, and over the course it has become an adult. But then that the first dragon was an adult, or like not an ancient, but like a very old dragon.
Gotcha.
The other thing it was, that dragon left, and there's been one prominent dragon in the area. But there is a suspect that there is also there's another potential other dragons in the territory as well. And there's some green dragons, some territories. But the other interesting thing is this particular black dragon that took over this region has been rumored to have an army, or has a stronghold of lizard folk that follow him, that treat him like a god. And then there is rumors that lizards, and there's an offshoot of like a page because of this, is that there was what people also noticed is that there was an increase in black-scaled lizard folk in the region after this black dragon came in. And as you're filing some other books and some other information, what you find out is that lizard folk will put their eggs close to certain types of dragons or other creatures that they worship, and those particular, how they incorporate it, or how the magic or just the essence of being around it taints the eggs of the lizard folk. So when they hatch, whatever dragon they serve, sometimes those scales are color coordinated to who they worship.
Wow.
So you will have a black scaled lizard folk will probably be related to, and or were their tribe when they were born were worshipers of a black dragon.
Gotcha.
Green lizard folk are pretty much the same, but if there's tints of red, or if there's tints of more like defining green aspects of it, depending on the color, like if it's a dark green or there might be some different changes. The other thing is, in the region, there is a current black dragon that is very prominent in the area. That's the one that pretty much, there is a rumor and over researched that this particular black dragon Seaton, Seaton, about 100 years ago, with the help of the Prince Lord, the Pirate Lord, or the Pirate Prince. And the refugees from that town, which is not too far away, came to Saltmarsh, and that's why there was such an influx and why Saltmarsh grew.
Okay.
How
long ago was that? You said 100 years?
100 years ago. And that, so the information of like this black dragon, things of that nature, you know that black dragons are, they lay eggs, and then sometimes they have multiple wormlings. And then when it comes to the things you know about black dragons is they live in water. Their eggs are done in swamps. The swamp water kind of helps, which basically realizes in your connection of that crate was full of swamp water and the egg was inside. But the other thing is that the eggs are sensitive to its environment. So everything in its environment affects the gestation of the eggs.
Okay.
And that sometimes it has been known that that environment causes either a mutation and or interest in that particular wormling can be adapt, or it's influenced by its environment. So sometimes, depending on the environment, they have different goals, their personalities, things of that nature can be molded by the environment that they were gestated in.
So, for example, being transported
and hearing you, for whatever reason, this dragon wants to be with you because it heard
familiar.
you. It's familiar. And it's one of those things of like, you know what? I want to see what these are. Here's the important part. Dragons view everyone as food. Everyone is, let me phrase that. They generally see everyone as food, or more specifically, everyone is less than them. They are the peak predators. They are the apex predators, and they view everyone below them. Even as a wormling, they still view people below them, except they do recognize strength and power, and that they are at the mercy of someone more powerful than them at that time. So the first couple of years, they do rely on other people to protect them.
Gotcha.
And
they do rely, or they can rely?
They can rely.
Okay.
And they generally seek out for that, but also they seek out knowledge. The other thing is wormlings that are born in special cases, wormlings when they are born have a superior intelligence.
Right.
They are as intelligent as a normal person, and as they are a sponge of knowledge. They are seeking knowledge about everything. And over the course of time, that's why they live ancient. They become more wiser as they go on. Black dragons are emotional or more savage, and they let their savageness rule their actions.
They're evil. Technically, they're evil.
Well, technically, they're evil because they don't view themselves as evil. They view themselves as, I can do whatever the F I want because everyone else is below me. Mm-hmm. And I could, you know what? I'm just going to eat them because I can. Mm-hmm. Or they're going to try. Now, there's a lot of process of, like I said, learning, and over the centuries, that's why they become more and more powerful. They do go into hibernation in a way that when they realize that they need to, either when they're hurt or something along those lines, or they're plotting. They're very intelligent and they're very cunning.
Right.
They set traps. I mean, they're very protective. At birth, they do search for treasure. They hoard treasure. they start looking at different things. But in the process, like I said, they're a dragon. But there's only so much that they learn. And until they have a lair of their own, they're pretty much at the mercy. A lot of dragons have a community of wormlings together, and so they have to fight in different things, and they kind of learn. The first year, it's pretty much all learning. It's just all about learning. The fact that you have a dragon in the city that wants to learn from your group is completely unusual. It has never really been recorded of that ever happening.
Wants to learn from non-dragon or non-lizard?
Non-dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the fact that the dragon is wanting to be with you and learning about things in the area is unusual. It has never been recorded.
Okay.
But it's not. It's extremely rare. It's like a legendary artifact of a situation.
Yeah.
But because you've determined that because of the transporting them and everything else, and being able to, you created a sensation of curiosity, and that curiosity is what's driving him to be with you. When it is very present, when they are mischievous at times, they do what they want, especially wormlings. But at any given time, they can turn. Number one. Number two, when they are done with something, they just leave.
Okay.
But they generally, if they will just leave when they're done with something, because it's done. But you know that that's generally after 1 to 5 years. It's not something where they just get bored with something and leave. They spend the time to actually put the effort in time. And it's generally after about a year, or like I said, 1 to 5 years in something that they're working on. Then when they feel that they've learned enough from that situation, then they move on. But they don't say goodbye. It's just like, I'm moving on, going off.
Yeah, they just ghost.
Yeah. So it's not something like within a month or 3 months or something like that, they just ghost. It's a long time. It's like that, like I said, it's a year type situation, because they're constantly absorbing all that. Now, that doesn't mean they don't do walkabouts for a day or two. And because they go off, they find something, but they eventually come back to something. But again, this wormlings are smart. They know danger. They know how to be stealthy. They understand things. Now, comparing what you know about Rocky and comparing, you know that Rocky is intrigued about the city, but he's smart enough to know not to get too involved, like to get caught. But you know he's sloppy enough that someone will see him or catch him.
Yeah.
If he's running rampant. Because here's the other thing. What you've perspective is that there is a fear of dragons, especially the black dragon, because there has been attacks on black dragons throughout this area. And if you know that if there was information that would spread like wildfire that there's a dragon in town, it would be panic. And there would be door-to-door searches for the dragon.
Gotcha.
If like he started doing destruction, like major destruction, like if broad daylight, he was going around like killing people and burning things, and then going hide, it would be just
there'd be a mob. There'd be pitchforks and torches. Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. The city guard militia would be running rampant.
Makes sense.
The other thing you pick up is, with that role, you start to get information specifically about all the dragons in this area, especially around Spotlight, and all the history. The dragon you saw that followed you, that you know that particular dragon is the adult slash I'm trying to remember what the next stage of dragon is. If it's
through the internet.
Looking at it going, yeah, I should probably just, I should have had it prepared, but I had it under I didn't have it specific, but it was, yeah, it goes adult, ancient. So yeah, it's
Elder. Wormling, young, adult, elder, ancient, and then you get into twilight and death.
Yeah. So, but so people suspect that it's an adult or elder dragon that's in this particular area. There's been there is a name for him, but it's confusing because for whatever reason, this particular dragon goes by several names. Ooh. And it's hard to figure out if it's the same dragon or if there are multiple dragons. And there is a paper you found that someone wrote that specifically addresses this. In his hypothesis, he suspects that there is one dragon, one large adult dragon or larger dragon in this area, and that he is assuming multiple identities specifically to screw with or to mislead adventurers and everyone that lives in the salt marsh area.
Hey. Mislead.
And this particular article or this paper specifically identifies that this dragon could even be among them. Cool. In disguise, because of his knowledge of salt marsh and knowledge of adventurers and how to trick them, because he's had the folk, the lizard folk that serve him are much more intelligent than the barbaric tribes or the simple tribes that normal lizard folk are. He has instructed them and taught them. They're much more intelligent. They're much more understanding of the world than most lizard folk. Gotcha. So there is a unique intelligence about this particular black dragon.
So does this paper say that he is changing his form to appear humanoid, either human or elf or dragon or whatever, when it's saying that it's hiding among people?
Possibly. He doesn't know but he says that that particular dragon does have access to magic, and he suspects that he does magic, and that it would not be surprising for the dragon to assume humanoid form just to walk in the streets of Saltmarsh.
Gotcha. That's terrifying.
There is one more bit of information I'm going to hold to my chest for right now, but I will bring it up later on. So just note, because of your research, when some other knowledge eventually comes, you have found it and it relays like, wait a minute, I read this in the book.
I read about this. Yeah.
You think about
I didn't know it was important at the time.
Exactly. So gotcha. Okay. Because of there might be more than one, but we will reference that this is where you found that information. Okay. This also will be giving you advantage on any rolls for the dragons and or realm. And like I said, even though you could probably spend an entire afternoon doing this, because of how well you are, you're doing this in half the time. It's just one of those, like, you're going through and you're just moving the pages and you're reading all the books. Like, okay, it's like that fast skim of like, but you soak all of it in. Yeah. And you know exactly which books to avoid and which ones not to avoid based off of the title, the bindings, what they were made of. And you even find there's one or two, like, you look at this book and it's like some adventurer wrote this book about dragons and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, he's completely off. because from the other library that it was everything he wrote was debunked.
Yeah.
It's like, you pick that, you're like,
this is crap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were just going through it. So then after you spend a good hour like doing all this and getting your dragon information, as you move over to the arcane theories, and you start looking over the arcane theories, and you kind of figure out where it is. It takes you a little bit, but not too bad, because like I said, it's pretty laid out. And as you kind of get into there, and you start looking, there's actually another person kind of standing there. It's a half elf wearing very fine wizard wizard clothing. He's got a spell book next to him, and he's kind of looking for some research. And he's very confident, but he's kind of in that like annoyed almost. At times, he was kind of like feeling very annoyed that he's having to do this, until you walk up, and then he kind of straightens up a little bit and kind of gets a little bit. And as you get closer, he kind of nods and says, "Good morning."
Good morning. I see you have Elminster's theory on quantum mechanics.
Yes. Are you? Oh, very good. Are you a student or of Corman's theories as well?
Oh, Corman's theories. How many nights have I fallen to sleep with that dull, dry tome?
Oh.
The work is good. His writing is so dreary.
My first few lectures on that particular one was difficult, and listening is just you have to have a flair. Oh, my apologies. He sticks his hand out. Simon Silvercowl is my name. Nice to meet you. Apprenticed for Mylor. The wizard Mylor.
Aviro Starborn. I am currently enrolled at the Blackstaff Tower, Waterdeep, here on forced field exposure.
Oh, welcome. Welcome. Waterdeep. Wow, that's a different word. Now, one of the things that you know is that Melor, Mylor, last name is Orvid, Orvid, is the highest level wizard in Saltmarsh and the master of the Wizards Guild. You would have found out before you came who that is. He's an apprentice. This is one of the apprentices. And based off your passive perception, again, I'm not going to have you roll this one.
Sure.
He did something wrong, because this wizard, you can tell he's a top tier, like a tier 3 wizard, but he's doing field research and fetching research. Clearly, he made a mistake and is being punished to go and do research.
Gotcha. Oh, and so what brings you down here to the slumming in the stacks?
Well, I can imagine you know those days when you just put the wrong pinch of sulfur and mix it with that wrong pinch of elderberry.
Oh no. Yes. Oh no. Did you turn someone purple?
No, not quite as bad, but needless to say, it's a morning of research.
Well, sounds like a grand time to me, although you don't seem to be enjoying it yourself.
I would have in my day, but I've got other things that I had planned to do. And he's kind of looking to see, kind of determining where you are, and that realization of like, oh, you're a tier 1 wizard. It takes him off for a second, but then he kind of changes. It's that one of those moments like, oh, I'm talking to a tier 1 wizard. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
But the initial conversation makes him change. Is like, oh, he has promise.
He has promise. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he knows.
He's just young.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh.
And Aviro's, like, the thing about Aviro is he's definitely very young.
Oh yeah.
He's 17, 18 equivalent. He's very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was this guy's name?
It's Simon. SI'MON. Silver Cowl. Excuse me, Silver Cowl. Silvercowl.
Yeah.
He's like, so you're on field assignment, so to speak, from the Isle. Have you had any adventures? I see you've got some notes on dragons.
Yes. Well, as we are in a swampy area, I figured it's best to brush up on my local fauna.
Oh,
Black dragons being prevalent. We did see one on our journey here from wherever that.
oh, you did. Oh,
It,
wow,
it followed
amazing.
us for a moment. Let me say,
What?
we soiled our drawers that day, I might tell you.
The dragon followed you. Oh,
Yes,
and
it's
he
an
did,
honest
and
joke.
you can tell the tale. He didn't eat you.
He was soaring quite high, uh, and then let us go. We're quite shocked.
Oh,
We're here
that is.
we're here to join the Adventurers Guild,
Oh,
and on our first assignment, we were to deliver something, and it followed us. We were terrified that we were going to be a snack, but it let us go.
oh, amazing. Simply
Indeed.
amazing. Oh, I don't think I've ever heard of such things. It's not uncommon, but clearly something must have either shooshed it away or his attention went somewhere. I remember that, yes, myself, I was in a venturing party long ago, and I myself was face to face with a green dragon once. It was just an adult, but ate half the party. If it wasn't for our skilled cleric at the time, but yes, it was a proud moment that we have.
If you say so, I'd much rather be nice and warm by the fire, reading up on quantum arcanics. I rather loathe field work.
Really?
Indeed.
Ah, are you currently?
I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
No, please continue. You were.
I was just going to say I'm not suited for it. It's not like I'm much more of an academic than a field researcher.
Ah, interesting. And are the particular studies, or have you ventured into the alchemy and or just enchantments areas yet?
Oh, certainly. Everyone has to take their basic proficiencies. Uh, I certainly dabble from time to time
Hmm.
in extracurricular alchemical and enchantmental pursuits. However, it's really the quantum arcanics that drive me. I'm fascinated with
Interesting.
how does magic work? What can it do? What are its limitations? I want to dig deep.
Interesting. Have you experimented in the research of new spells? Is that where this is going, or are you just
I,
kind of?
ultimately, I would love to develop my own spells. I've not quite gotten there yet. I am only a third year,
Oh,
but I am advancing quickly, and my instructors are very pleased with me. However, they they told me I'm not allowed to take any more classes until I get actual real world field experience. And he slumps his shoulders and he kind of kicks the floor.
oh my! And then you came to Saltmarsh. Ha ha! What a choice! Ah, there's grand adventure here, my friend. Grand adventure. You'll find
Yes,
it. You'll get the experience that you'll need, and I'll bet you it will even love it.
if you say so, my good man,
Oh,
I'll take your word
I envy you. I
for it.
remember those days. They were so grand. Don't worry. Chin up. You'll be fine.
Well, I appreciate that. Oh, I say, I have not seen this book before.
Oh, yes. We have an extensive section on that particular wizard.
Wow. Are we allowed check to check items out, or does everything have to remain here in the library?
I I'm fairly certain you have to, it remains in the library to do research, but you can check them out and use them in a particular room for extended periods of time, since certain books are, one of a kind.
Oh, of course,
Um,
of course.
but is there something specific you're looking for? Because I might be able to help you with this one.
Well, anything I don't have access to in Waterdeep is, of course, high on my list. Anything to do with black dragons in particular, I'm interested in. But other than that, I've already perused the flora and fauna section.
Interesting.
I have this tome here on dragons.
That-
But I'm certainly interested in the deeper knowledge of quantum mechanics.
Oh, excellent. That dragon incident that you had must have sparked something in you to be able to dive so deep. Is there something specific you're looking for with this black dragon research that I could help you with?
No, he attempts to lie.
Oh, we're gonna just give me a deception. Give me a deception just for fun.
It's a straight roll. He has no. It's a 13.
That's not too bad. That's definitely not too bad.
No, there's nothing particular I'm looking for. Just would like to know what we might be in for. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
Yes. No worry, my friends. No worry. Yes, Saltmarsh has a long history with black dragons in the area, since we're so close to the swamp, and they seem to be prevalent in there. Lots of some of the ruins they like to be in, I hear. And so, but anyways, I wish you well, my friend, on your endeavor here. If you're ever in search of a cup of tea and some debate on the enchantment versus necromancy debate.
Oh, you, sir, know how to show an elf a good time. Where might I call upon you?
I'm here. So yeah, generally over in the if you come to the library there, you just ring me there, and I generally around. Sometimes I've got some stuff in town or anything else. Are you staying at a particular location?
Yes, we're staying at what is it, Wicked Goat?
Wicked Goat.
Yeah. Yes, the Wicked Goat.
Excellent place of adventurers types there. I've been there long ago, a few times. Yes. I miss the ale.
You can always send a message to me there should you require anything that I might be able to assist you with.
Well, if I come across anything that you might, I definitely will. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I wish you endeavor. It's so rare to have someone from Waterdeep here. It's so refreshing.
Well, thank you. Your city is very quaint. I rather enjoy it very much.
Thank you so much, and keep your head on your shoulders, and may your magic missiles hit the right spot.
Thank you, as he kind of veers away from any talk of offensive spells.
So later, as he kind of goes and he's perusing, getting some more research, and he's kind of going, yeah, you're checking books out generally is not the preferred, because it's like I said, it's because of the but you can rent, like you go to a room and you do your research and stuff like that. But what I will say is you can make there is a magical copy. So like basically you could go down and there is a clerk that if there's a particular slight information that you like a 10-page information, they can quickly just magically copy the words onto parchment, and you can take that parchment with you.
Sure, that's right.
It's the equivalent of a copier. It's the the magical copier, so to speak. That is canon, people. That is canon. I just created, and that is canon. The copy clerk. Yes, magical copy clerk. That's what we're talking about.
And is the guy named Kinko?
I think it's going to be King, and his last name is Ko.
King Ko.
For trademark reasons that we don't want to, or copyright reasons we don't want to infringe on. His name is King.
K apostrophe. Yeah, K apostrophe INN, and then last name is Ko. K-O.
Yeah. K-O-E. There we go. Yeah, Ko.
Ko.
So yeah, you get a few of the things that you wanted and stuff on the papers, and they kind of transfer them over, and
cool.
And you head back. And like I said, it's going to take you. It's going to take about 15 minutes. So you spent a good 2 hours in here getting the information that you want.